What's up everybody, my name is Vincent. Welcome to Cryptolution, where we talk about everything under the moon in the crypto universe. Today is Wednesday, April 9th. In today's video, we're going to be talking about the new launch of Dog Bitcoin on Cardano, which now it is available for trading. You're going to see how well that's been performing over the past 24 hours. But also, we're going to share with you why people, and especially whales, are accumulating as much dog as possible. But it's not just dog, it's also Bitcoin. There's going to be data that's going to be shared with you that people are buying a lot of Bitcoin, and also retail is buying a lot of stocks. So if you're seeing this from an overall landscape, you are understanding that this is the time to buy the dip. So I'm going to share with you what's going on in the political climate regarding these tariff wars and how ultimately you can win in the crypto market, the meme coin market, and maybe possibly even the stock market as well. So let's cover it in this video. Smash up that like button, subscribe to the channel, don't forget to join our X platform, and please be careful with any of the scammers down in the comments below. I will never reach out via WhatsApp, Telegram, direct messaging, or email. So please be careful and invest safely. So guys and girls, let's get right into it. So as you can see, DOG right now is up 2.39%, roughly around $117 million market cap. So it is pumping, and that's mainly due to Bitcoin. So Bitcoin is also pumping as well. So these right now, DOG and Bitcoin, are kind of pretty much in correlation. So right now, Bitcoin is at $78,000. I definitely think that whales are accumulating, which I will share with you in just a little bit. But also, we gotta look at the meme coin market sector. So DOG Bitcoin obviously is pumping along with other meme coins, but it is up in the past 24 hours, 2.61, while some other coins aren't pumping that much, such as Mod Coin, which happens to be down 1.74%. We have SNEC that's down 2.58%. But then you have some other prominent blue chips that are actually pumping as well. So this is right now temporary. We don't know how long this pump will last. We're pretty much caught in this tariff war between China and the US right now. But let's focus on Bitcoin dominance, something that I kind of spotted recently. So we right now, if I use this Fibonacci retracement level, we right now are at roughly around 63%. Now, the main thing that you need to pay attention to is what's the next resistance or next top for Bitcoin dominance. Well, based on the Fibonacci retracement, it could be at 66%. Now, the reason I'm using a Fibonacci retracement, as you can tell, we've actually hit this specific target right here at around 52%, Bitcoin dominance rejected. Then you saw it happen right here at 54% rejected. Right over here, 56% rejected. And next up, we have 60% rejection. Right over here, 62% rejection. And every time we see a rejection and Bitcoin dominance goes up, you'll see altcoins either get liquidated, meaning their price or market cap won't go up, and Bitcoin's dominance becomes stronger. But here's the thing. If Bitcoin dominance reaches 66% and decides to reject from that, it may not go further than that. Now, maybe it could go to 73%, but in my opinion, I don't think that's going to happen. Just because I feel like regarding what's happening with this whole tariff war, I think altcoin season is soon going to start. But again, we are at roughly 63 compared to 66%. We have a little bit of time before that actually happens. It could take up to a month before we see a major altcoin rally. Now let's talk about Bitcoin's price. Now you can tell that Bitcoin right now is forming higher lows ever since beginning of 2023, ever since BlackRock started announcing their Bitcoin ETFs, aka IBIT. Now from these higher lows, what you'll notice is that we're always pumping. So 51% pump, 108% pump, 42% pump. Now this rejection that you're seeing right over here follows the same line of accumulation mode. So this is actually the time to be accumulating based on what this person is sharing on their charting analysis. And we're only down roughly 30% from this all-time high over $100,000. So to me, this is completely healthy. We haven't seen a 50% rejection. We've only seen a 30% rejection, regardless of how powerful these black swan events regarding these tariffs is going on. So here's the proof of the pudding that whales are actually buying and accumulating. So as you can see, this is the buyer's market right here. We're seeing a lot of buying activity with these institutions and larger whale wallets. These are wallets that have a ton of Bitcoin, and they're buying as much as they can. They don't care about the volatility because they have the game and the money to play this. So to me, if you're following what they're doing, they must know something that we don't, or they have the patience that retail doesn't. But it's not just whales and Bitcoin. It's also retail is as buying into the stock market. So it's really rare that we see times like this, such as the COVID pandemic, when we saw the uncertainty index that we haven't seen since then. So we're seeing the exact same uncertainty today, but we learned from what happened in the COVID pandemic, which was that was the best buying opportunity. A lot of us wish that we had the liquidity to buy in most of those stocks, such as Tesla, say for instance, during the COVID pandemic, when it went from like $300 to over $1,800 just within a few months. So people are doing the exact same thing now, buying into stocks that they really just didn't have great entry points back then. So they're doing the exact same thing now and learning from the COVID pandemic, because this whole tariff war can be short-lived. And yes, the S&P 500 did drop a negative 100 basis points based on this whole announcement regarding the 104% tariff on China, which Donald Trump signed as of yesterday. And this will start on April 9th, which is today. Now, in response to that, you started seeing that China responds with an 84% tariff. So they increased their tariff war. Now, the whole point of this is, regardless of what's happening, you are witnessing a World War III of trade wars. So we do not expect that this trade war between the US and China is going to end anytime soon. Eventually, what you need to know is that I think all roads are going to lead to Bitcoin, because Bitcoin has no tariffs. Bitcoin is borderless. It is traded all year, 24/7. It has no restrictions, and this is why I think the dollar, whatever happens to it, or the yuan that happens in China, whatever happens to those currencies, I think sooner or later the governments within both of these countries are going to have to start printing money or creating interest rate cuts, whatever it may be. This is what's happening with their monetary policy. And so whatever happens with that, people, the citizens, such as US citizens and the citizens over in China, they're going to want to flock to things that have a store of value, such as gold, and even better, Bitcoin. Because Bitcoin you can actually buy as a retail investor, and you can put it on a cold storage wallet. You don't have to have some centralized entity such as a bank or even a hedge fund holding those assets for you. You can own it yourself. And it's in a way a safe haven from what's going on globally. Now let's cut right to the chase, because we already talked about the global events. So in breaking news, yesterday, right after I posted my video, Fluid Tokens just announced that Dog is now on Cardano thanks to Yuan Chain. So basically what they've done is they take the wrap version of Dog on Solana and they're swapping it between Solana and Cardano, which in regards to Dog Bitcoin, as you as a holder on the Runes protocol, this does benefit you, because now Solana and Cardano are buying much of that supply that is available on the Runes protocol. Now, after this announcement, Tap Protocol just initiated the Dog to ADA trade, so you could trade your Cardano for Dog in exchange. And in a result of that, you started seeing high trading volume, but also Dog being the #1 trending token on Tap Tools. It's not even just that. Another exchange, or aka swap, Dex Hunter, also listed that Dog was the #1 trending token. So it's really nice to see that people on Solana and Cardano have the capability of buying Dog. And this is the whole point of Operation Dog Domination, is to provide as many buy buttons across different chains, platforms, centralized exchanges, dexes, and also mobile apps as well. Now, real briefly, I just want to talk about this whale wallet that just made a massive sweep yesterday. I don't know how much they bought, but they have a ton of Dog. And I noticed that the price of Dog jumped between 1.49 sats to as high as 1.68 sats. And then the price dropped instantly right after that. And usually when people see a price of their specific token, especially Dog, go up in sats, they're going to want to sell their sats because they're scared of what's going to happen in the market. So I started seeing pretty much a cascading effect of other retail investors, other smaller wallets list their Dog for sale at a lower price, and then you started seeing the price of sats go down and down and down, back to 1.49 to 1.50 sats. Now, regarding this wallet, I have been paying attention to it. Now, we don't know if this is a bot wallet or if this is just a whale or a centralized exchange. Regardless, I don't really care, because what they're doing, if they are trying to manipulate the price of Dog, they're still buying it, all right? So if they're still buying it and they decide to sell it, that means if they're trying to sell it, they're just trying to manipulate the floor. And the reason they're trying to manipulate the floor is because they want you to think that this token's going nowhere. But why would they buy it? That's the thing. They want you to sell your bags at a cheaper price so that they can buy back in. This is not the only whale, by the way. There's a lot of different whales out there that are trying to buy as much Dog as possible without you knowing about it. So let's pay attention to the charting analysis regarding Dog. So this is what I've kind of noticed. Based on the moving average from the 50-day to 200-day moving average, we we are in currently a death cross. As I mentioned in yesterday's video, I think the month of April is going to be very boring, where it's going to be consolidating sideways. It's not going to really just dump all the way down. I think it's just going to be trading sideways. You'll see the price go up and down, but eventually in the beginning of May, I think you'll start to see a reversal between the 50-day and the 200-day moving average, where sooner or later is going to be a golden cross later on in the month of May, and then that's going to start the parabola event, or at least the very first bull run between May through July, because that's what we're seeing in the global M2 money supply, how that's in correlation over the 108-day time frame over Bitcoin's price, that eventually Bitcoin's gonna follow that trend of the global M2 money supply. So this is what we're seeing. But nonetheless, if you look at the weekly, I definitely think that still we have so much time and weak selling pressure for us to be accumulating at these prices right now. So this is why I'm dollar cost averaging as much as I can into dog. Eventually I have to stop buying on these dips, but it's just these prices are so tempting, and this is where you have to kind of train yourself. If you don't have liquidity to buy dog right now, what put you in that circumstance where you didn't have liquidity? Well, it's because you don't know how to take profits in certain different assets. So eventually now is the time to buy, but when this thing starts to pump over the multi-billions of dollars, you need to know and have exit strategies to exit. That's the most important thing, and that's the only thing that I think the dog community wants you to know, is that you aren't just supposed to be exit liquidity. You have to be the person that exits out of this position once this token is listed on tier 1 centralized exchanges, mobile apps, whatever it may be. When these buy buttons are available everywhere, you have to plan your strategy to exit. Nobody sells on a seller pressure zone. People buy on a seller pressure zone. People sell on a buying pressure zone, if that makes any sense. So that's kind of something that I just want to share with you as a really great strategy to understand how this is going to best suit you. As a conclusion and statement, again, I've already talked about how the month of April is going to be very boring, but in the month of April, that's the time to DCA. Now you're seeing what's happening with the global trade war between the US and China, and there's nothing that we can do about that. But nonetheless, it all leads to Bitcoin. And if Bitcoin does really well and Bitcoin dominance reaches 66% at some point, eventually we're going to see a reversal, and that Bitcoin dominance will then start an altcoin season. Now, we don't know how far Bitcoin's price will go. It could go up to 100,000 to 130,000, but eventually you'll see altcoins rally really hard. They pump much harder than Bitcoin. And once that does happen, you need to exit out of whatever token that is, if it's dog Bitcoin, and rotate those funds back into Bitcoin, and then hold Bitcoin for the next year or so or whatever. But that's a totally different strategy story regarding just Bitcoin. But this is something that you need to know as of right now. So as always, if you want to support this channel and you want to get all the updates regarding dog Bitcoin and all the strategies and all the global events that are happening around the world, you need to smash the like button, subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to join our X platform to receive these updates on a timely manner. Until then, I'll see you guys and girls next time.